This interview is made possible by the generosity of the Estelle J. Kelsey Foundation.
I'm Marcia Cuccaro. I'm with the Nevada Women's History Project, and today is Thursday, February 6th, 2020, and we're here at the Governor's Mansion in Carson City with First Lady Kathy Ong Sisolak. So Kathy, thank you so much for having us here today. Can you start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about your life?
Sure. I was born in Ely, Nevada. My father's name is Moon Ong and my mother's name is Wanda Ong. And then soon after I was born, we moved to Las Vegas because my father had a job there, and so I was only in Ely for a few months. So I have 3 brothers and of course my mother. We all moved to Las Vegas. And my father was a faro bank dealer on Fremont Street. And they don't teach faro bank anymore. I think that was an old-time card game that isn't dealt any longer. Then my mother, she went back to school, learned data processing, and she had a job at the county. Then I grew up in Las Vegas. Was educated there. I went to UNLV, got a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration with an emphasis in finance. And then in 1981, I got a job at Clark County, and that's where I did my public service work. And I was initially a budget analyst and then became the budget manager of a $1.8 billion budget. And then I opened my own business in 1996, and then have had that business since then, and I currently have the same business with my business partner.
That's pretty great.
Thank you.
So you moved to Las Vegas and grew up in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas of course has had a huge change. I remember I lived in Las Vegas and there were no freeways. So what do you recall from living in Las Vegas?
Well, we had a wonderful childhood in Las Vegas. Even when I grew up there, it was not as big as it is today. With the growth has been tremendous. But I remember riding our bikes everywhere, walking to school, going horseback riding, cruising down Fremont Street when we were older. And so we had a wonderful childhood. We went snow skiing in Mount Charleston. We played tennis, golf, so all the activities you can imagine in Las Vegas, and it's sort of an outdoor environment. And then we also, because of the casinos, we saw a lot of entertainment. We saw Elvis when he was in town, and we got to, back then there were dinner shows. So we would tip the maitre d' to get a better seat. And so we enjoyed the Las Vegas area, and also we just loved it there.
So you've always lived there in Las Vegas?
Yes, I've always lived there. Even during college I was there, and then after college I thought I would maybe move somewhere else, but the opportunity existed for me to work at Clark County, and so I took advantage of that opportunity.
So did you ever think you'd be First Lady?
No, no one imagined, well, I don't know. I've never imagined that I would be First Lady.
So when did you, and how did you meet your husband?
I met him at the gym, in our neighborhood gym. I knew him beforehand. I knew of him beforehand because, of course, he was a commissioner and a Board of Regents. He was on the Board of Regents prior to that. So I knew of him, and I had met him just very casually. But then I realized he lived in the same housing development as I did, so I would go to the gym at about the same time as he did. We didn't really socialize much initially, but then eventually, like everybody at the gym, the regulars got together and started talking.
So you met him. You met him at the gym, you had a relationship, and then you married him right before the election.
Right.
Right, not the election, but right before the inauguration, wasn't it?
Yes, we met at the gym. I'd known him for years. We were dating for about 5 years, and then right after the election, he proposed to me in San Francisco, And then on December 28th, 2018, we got married right before the inauguration.
So, with your marriage came your position as First Lady of Nevada. And what was the hardest thing for you to get used to when you realized that you would be First Lady?
Well, I'm not sure that I understood what that meant, but certainly when we first arrived here at the mansion, one of my responsibilities was to really make all the decisions relative to the mansion, the Nevada room, and the cottage and the grounds. And I really didn't understand what that meant initially, but realized it was a big responsibility. And then on top of that, the day I arrived, the next day, our mansion coordinator quit to take another position. So I had no transition period. So that was very difficult. But then within a couple months, we hired the most amazing executive coordinator for the mansion, and that was Kristen Dillard. And so she has really guided me and steered me in understanding what this facility is all about.
I know you endeared yourself to your neighbors because you took cookies to your neighbors.
We did. When we first arrived, we took, we walked the neighborhood and knocked on a few doors and just gave everybody cookies to let them know we are new to the neighborhood.
So you really didn't have any help when you first started, but did somebody kind of tell you what your expectations would be as a First Lady somewhere along the line?
Well, yes. My first responsibility, as I mentioned, was the mansion.
Right.
And then after that, there is I think there's an
manual?
There's no manual. There's an expectation, of course, that the First Lady have a platform, and that for me is financial literacy for the youth. I've been appointed to the State Financial Literacy Council, and we hope that the council will build critical awareness and develop financial literacy education for kids, for K through 12 students, as well as parents, as their parents and community members alike. We also hope to have an opportunity to provide innovative practices in the classroom and to raise the level of instruction in the school for financial literacy skills for all the schools in Nevada. The other thing that we've done recently is develop an arts program, and that is a statewide initiative that is called the First Lady Presents, and it's to feature our contemporary artists of Nevada. And what we're going to do is, and what we have done, is display their artworks in the mansion so that all the visitors, including students, tourists, honored guests, and dignitaries can come and see and take in a little bit of Nevada creativity and culture.
So that's separate from the artwork that's at the legislature?
That's correct, yeah. This is just for the mansion.
Just for the mansion?
Yeah, so we have a few pieces now up, and so we're proud to feature our Nevada artist.
Well, that's super. So the role of First Lady's changed in recent years from being a gracious hostess, of course you are, to one where the First Lady has responsibilities for various social causes, which you just explained. And like I mentioned before, you're the second First Lady, I believe, to have a career outside of the governor's mansion. How does your career mesh with your role as First Lady?
Well, we have many responsibilities as Steve as the governor and myself as First Lady. I think we try to do the best that we can to balance our roles. And then I also have my business that I deal with. And we're able to, I think, balance both. I think with a good team, which we have both at my business and as well as the state, we can accomplish all of our demands.
Your role has been described by some people as not necessary. Do you think a First Lady is necessary?
I think you can make I think the role is as important as you want to make it. For me, it's an honor to be the First Lady, and I hope to be really a good role model. I hope to have a positive influence and to help Nevadans whenever they need to.
So you're not feeling that it's a burden to be a governor's wife?
Oh no, I think it's an honor to be the governor's wife, and Steve feels the same way, and I think that it's an honor to really help the state of Nevada, or to be in this position.
First Lady Betty Sawyer, which was quite some time ago, once said that she had to mask her emotions and refrain from speaking out on issues. Do you feel any constraints on what views you might have?
I don't feel any constraints at all. However, I am not the type of person that is overly, sharing with my viewpoints. I do. It's just not who I am. But I don't feel any constraints.
What has surprised you the most since you became First Lady?
I think the number of invitations we receive, whether they are for galas, events, book readings, ribbon cuttings, being on boards, not-for-profit boards, there are quite a few invitations, but we have met so many amazing people and worked with so many amazing people that it's been wonderful.
Is your role as First Lady different from when you're living in Las Vegas as opposed to living in Carson City?
No, I don't view it differently. I think it's the same whether you're in Vegas, Carson City, Ely, or Elko. It's all the same.
So before you walked in the front door, what were your expectations or your hopes of what your life was going to be like?
Well, I really had no expectations. I had no idea what this would entail. I never dreamed, first of all, that I would be First Lady. My early development, my education, my work ethic were all shaped by my parents. And so I just tried to help along the way. And so I think that any young woman who chooses to go down this path, I hope I'm a great influence for young women, and that they know that there are no barriers to what they want to do, and there aren't.
So when Governor Sisolak won the election, though, what was your first thought? Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, no, my first thought was, that was fantastic. I knew he would be a great governor. And then, of course, that we would be moving to Carson City, and that we would, there was a lot to do. And that was really only my first thought. I didn't really have any expectations beyond that.
So you moved into the mansion. Can you describe your feelings the first few days that you were here?
Yeah, I felt good. It was a nice feeling coming in here. We first lived in what we call the apartment until the mansion's carpet and the painting was completed, and so we didn't move into the mansion until mid-February, and it was very nice. The thing that we needed to get used to was the size. It's quite large. And the house was quite large for just the two of us. And the thing to get used to were there are always people around. As you know, there's mansion police here 24/7. And during the day, we have our executive coordinator and the trustees, and buildings and grounds comes around. And then at night, we have people stopping in front of the mansion, parking their cars and taking pictures. And that's night and day. So that was very hard to get used to.
Have you heard the resident ghost, supposed ghost?
I heard that the ghost existed here, but to tell you the truth, I haven't felt anything. I don't know where it is.
I think it was a PR stunt, but that's just my opinion. Because that first lady was only here for like 2 years, and Una Dickerson, and she was 27 years old when she lived here, so I don't really think there really is a ghost.
Okay. Well, we don't mind if there is.
Yeah, she's a friendly ghost.
She's a friendly
here.
ghost.
Do you feel comfortable? Oh, no, I was going to ask you. So you were explaining how your life is here in the mansion, but then when you go back home, you don't have all the... Are you just back home without all the extra...
Yeah, we're back home without all the extra people around the house, but we do have still our security detail for when we're out and attending events, and of course Steve has his detail at work. But it's a different life in the mansion, certainly than at my home in Las Vegas.
So do you feel comfortable going, just like if you wanted to go to the movies?
Absolutely. We do it. We go to the movies, we go out to eat, and we do it quite often.
Well, good. Have you added personal touches to the mansion? I noticed, what I'm remembering is there used to be cowboy boots on the grand stairway when Governor Gibbons lived here.
Oh.
And so I was wondering if you added other kinds of personal touches, not cowboy boots.
Right. Yes, of course. We, our personal photos, the wall, our pictures on the wall, and of course we've purchased new bedding and new beds, and I added an office upstairs because we didn't need an extra bedroom. And then we converted one of the dining rooms into a family room. So things like that we've done.
So you've been a First Lady for a year now. Do you have memorable moments in the mansion that you can recall?
Yes, my first visit to the mansion was very memorable, but it was right after Steve was elected. Governor Sandoval invited us and other prior governors and First Ladies to the mansion, and we had a very lovely dinner. And it was nice to hear all the stories about the mansion and the stories that previous governors have shared with us, and so that was delightful. And it was, when I first walked in, I just, it felt good to come in because I wasn't sure what to expect. And then of course Steve during session has weekly dinners here with legislators and guests, and that's always great. And there's nothing like Halloween here at the mansion. There are probably 1,500, 1,800 people that come, and it goes on for hours. And it's really wonderful, and it's great to see the costumes. And then at the end of last session, we had a neighborhood party, which was wonderful to meet the neighbors and to thank them for being so understanding and tolerant of all the traffic that happens here at the mansion. And they were all wonderful.
So changing the subject a little bit, what led you to your profession in finance?
Not that I had any great plan, but it just was my emphasis. I do like numbers. And I was applying for a job, and Clark County offered me this position in budget, and I loved it. And then I decided, and my business partner, we decided, maybe we should open our own business. And then we opened our own business, and I love the work. So
you didn't have a role model or mentor who kind of guided you into the world of finance?
No. It's just, I think, my affinity for numbers that guided me into finance.
What type of leisure activities do you participate in today? You mentioned that you met your husband at a gym. Can you go to the gym today?
Yes, we go to the gym because we're still in the same neighborhood, and so it's a neighborhood gym. And so we continue to go to the gym. That is the thing that is our priority, is fitness. And we like to go for walks, and I occasionally go skiing and golfing, and so that's our leisure activities. Go to movies.
You've had major accomplishments in the world of finance. What advice would you give to a young woman who maybe is just entering adulthood regarding a career and having a family and working in finance?
I would say that you really need to love what you do, and even when you don't love it so much, you need to work hard. And then secondarily, you really need to be mindful of your money, and that way you can hopefully have financial independence and maximize your choices. That's why I think one of my platforms is financial literacy for the youth. I think people need to be very wise with their money, and then life will be much easier.
I think you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. And I think that maybe you've really hit the nail on the head. I wish you great success with that.
Oh, thank you.
So did you have any life mentors growing up as opposed to professional mentors?
Yes, my parents are my mentors. They are naturalized American citizens, so that they chose to be Americans. Many are born Americans, they chose to be Americans. My father was a World War II veteran, and he worked as a dealer, and my mother went back to school and learned data processing. And so as immigrants, this is a land of opportunity, and as long as you work hard, there are opportunities. And so this country has given our family a lot, and we are very proud to be Americans.
So I know earlier you said that your father went to China to get his bride?
Yes, to meet his bride.
To meet his bride. When she came here, did she speak English?
She did not, but she learned English. She's a very smart woman. She learned English, and she went through high school in Hong Kong, and then she arrived here, and then she learned English, and then she also went to a vocational school here in Las Vegas, and that's where she learned data processing.
Okay. You mentioned that you had security. I'm assuming that you didn't have security before you became First Lady. So how do you deal with it?
Yeah, security all the time is it's just something you have to get used to. I don't know, there's really no transition because all of a sudden you have security. And so we have to get used to them, and they have to get used to us, and it's really been great. We have a great team of security.
Before, in governors past, they've had inmate help in the mansion, and I say this because I grew up at the prison, and our inmates came to help. Mm-hmm. Do you still have inmate help?
We do. We have trustees, and there are 4 trustees who work here all the time, and we are very appreciative of their service, and we hope that they can take away some of the skills they've learned here when they leave camp.
So, is there anything else that I've not asked that you'd like to add?
No, I think I think we've covered it.
Well, today, or not maybe today, but probably in a few months, visitors to the Nevada Women's History website will be able to actually see and hear you directly, as opposed to the first ladies that we've had to write about long after they've been deceased. And so those ladies, somebody else was interpreting their lives as opposed to you being able to actually tell about yours directly. So that's pretty great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think this project is a great thing for the history of women in Nevada, and I hope you much success.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to share with us.
Oh, you're welcome.